More than 60 years after it changed the course of popular music, the Beatles' legendary album Rubber Soul is preparing to begin an exciting new chapter. Universal Music Group and Apple Corps Limited have officially announced a spectacular expanded reissue of the landmark 1965 masterpiece, giving fans the opportunity to experience the album in a way that simply hasn't been possible before. Rather than offering another routine remaster, this ambitious project opens the doors to the Beatles' creative world, revealing previously unheard recordings, intimate songwriting demos, beautifully restored audio, and a remarkable collection of historical material that celebrates one of the band's most important artistic achievements. For Beatles fans, collectors, and music lovers alike, this could easily become one of the most significant archive releases of recent years. The new edition of Rubber Soul will be released on October 2nd in several different formats, allowing listeners to choose between standard CD and vinyl editions, expanded special editions, or the lavish Super Deluxe box sets containing 4 CDs or 5 vinyl records packed with exclusive material. At the heart of this project are completely new stereo mixes created by acclaimed producer Giles Martin and engineer Sam O'Kell. Giles, of course, continues the extraordinary legacy of his father, Sir George Martin, whose pioneering production helped shape the Beatles' original recordings during the 1960s. However, these new mixes were only made possible thanks to revolutionary audio technology developed by the award-winning sound team at Peter Jackson's Wingnut Films. Using sophisticated demixing technology, engineers were able to separate individual vocals and instruments directly from the original 4-track master tapes recorded back in 1965. For decades, many experts believed such separation was virtually impossible without compromising the original recordings. Now, thanks to advances in artificial intelligence-assisted audio restoration, every guitar, vocal harmony, bass line, and drum performance can be treated individually before being carefully reconstructed into an entirely fresh stereo image. The goal wasn't to modernize the Beatles or reinvent their music. Instead, the production team wanted listeners to hear these timeless recordings with exceptional clarity, while preserving every ounce of warmth, emotion, and character that made the original album so magical. The result is perhaps the closest fans have ever come to stepping inside Abbey Road Studios during those unforgettable recording sessions. For the very first time, all 14 tracks from Rubber Soul have been rebuilt using these stunning new stereo mixes. Alongside them, listeners will also receive the original mono album, the historic American Capitol version, and an immersive Dolby Atmos mix that places the audience right in the center of the music. But as exciting as the new sound quality is, the real treasure hidden inside this release comes from the archive itself. The expanded collection contains 24 early studio recordings, offering an extraordinary glimpse into the Beatles' creative process, as songs slowly evolved from rough ideas into world-famous classics. Rather than hearing polished performances, fans will witness the band experimenting with arrangements, changing lyrics, discussing musical ideas, and gradually discovering the versions that would eventually become history. It is a fascinating reminder that even the Beatles refined their songs through patience, experimentation, and countless hours in the studio. The collection also features 3 previously unheard home demos, allowing listeners to hear the earliest stages of songwriting before the music even reached Abbey Road. These intimate recordings feel less like commercial releases and more like private moments shared between the band and the listener. Some of the biggest highlights include early versions of We Can Work It Out and Day Tripper, 2 songs that perfectly capture the Beatles at one of the most creative periods of their career. Hearing these early performances reveals how melodies developed, harmonies changed, and arrangements became increasingly sophisticated before the final masters were completed. Perhaps the most exciting discovery, however, is an entirely unheard John Lennon recording entitled Little Girl. Described as a simple song outline, this fragile demo captures Lennon shaping musical ideas long before they reached the recording studio. For Beatles historians, moments like these are incredibly valuable because they reveal the songwriting process exactly as it happened, unfinished, spontaneous, and wonderfully human. It is almost like sitting beside Lennon while he searches for the next great melody. Alongside a beautifully pressed limited edition orange vinyl, Applecore is releasing an exclusive Zoetrope vinyl edition featuring animated artwork that appears to move as the record spins on a turntable. Yet perhaps the most emotional part of the package is the magnificent 88-page hardback book included with the Super Deluxe editions. Paul McCartney contributes a heartfelt introduction reflecting on the significance of Rubber Soul, while John's perspective is represented through a foreword carefully assembled using his own words from historical interviews. Detailed essays explore the album's creation track by track, explaining not only how the songs were recorded, but also why Rubber Soul became such a revolutionary turning point for both the Beatles and modern music itself. For anyone familiar with the finished version, hearing this early performance is a remarkable experience. The melody is instantly recognizable, yet the atmosphere feels even more intimate, exposing the fragile beauty of a song still finding its final form. Rather than replacing the original recording, this version enriches it by revealing the creative journey that led to one of the Beatles' most beloved love songs. When Rubber Soul first appeared on December 3, 1965, the Beatles were already the biggest band on the planet. Yet, instead of repeating the formula that had made them global superstars, they chose to challenge themselves artistically. During 4 incredibly productive weeks between October and November 1965, the group experimented with new instruments, richer harmonies, folk influences, Indian music, innovative recording techniques, and increasingly personal songwriting. Those sessions produced unforgettable classics including Drive My Car, Norwegian Wood, This Bird Has Flown, Nowhere Man, Michelle, Girl, I'm Looking Through You, and many more. Together, these songs represented a dramatic leap forward, not only for the Beatles but for the entire concept of what a pop album could achieve. Many critics have described Rubber Soul as the moment when popular music truly came of age. With breathtaking new sound quality, extraordinary archival discoveries, rare demos, intimate studio recordings, and one of the most comprehensive Beatles collections ever assembled, this expanded edition offers far more than nostalgia. It invites listeners to witness the creative genius of 4 young musicians whose imagination forever transformed the landscape of modern music. Whether you have loved Rubber Soul since 1965 or are discovering it for the very first time, this remarkable release promises the closest experience yet to stepping inside the studio with John, Paul, George and Ringo, as they created one of the greatest albums in recording history. And judging by everything included in this extraordinary collection, this isn't simply a reissue of Rubber Soul. It's a journey back to the very moment the Beatles changed music forever.